Hey guys, well I was going to change my oil today, but that's out of the question. All hell's fixing to break loose. I mean, I got ducks running around my front yard, so we're not going to do that. My fuel filters, they're about ready to change, but I'm not going to do that either. Not today. It's going to be a tough one. We got 90% chance of rain, and we need to find something inside to do. And I got the perfect topic. We're going to talk about the service manual. You hear that thunder? Welcome to Louisiana. So let's go talk about the service manual. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Okay, so there she is in all her glory. That's what you get for about, I don't know, it seemed like I paid about $150. It's been about 3 years since I've purchased it. Notice that it says DJ on it. There's also a D2 included in that, but they don't tell you anything about it. The D2 is the 3500, and it covers both. I guess they would sell you the D2 if you ordered a 3500 CD. But that's the service information manual. I would call it an information manual, as they call it, not an actual something that you're going to use to really tear into the engine with. It's just not enough information, as I think you'll see in a minute. But this is just a review. Use your own judgment. I'll show you some of the things that I like and don't like about it, and we'll go right into it. Okay, here we are with the opening screen. This is a 2014 Ram 2500. It does include the 3500, however, although they don't advertise that, and it's not on the pull down menu, but I'll show you that right now. By the way, this only works with Internet Explorer for me. It doesn't work with Chrome, which is my favorite browser. So up here you can see we've got a DJ Ram 2500. You have no other choice. A D2 would be a 3500, and there is information in the manual about it. They just don't advertise it. I guess if you ordered a manual for a 3500, you would probably have just 3500 up here, and you would have no choice for 2500. But anyway, we're going to pick the ETK, which is the 6.7 Cummins turbo manual, because that's what we all interested in. And you have your screen here. We're going to go straight to the engine here. And we're going to go to, let's say we want to change the oil, and we need some information on oil change. Okay, so that seems like that would be under lubrication. One of the things I really strongly dislike about this manual is there's no search feature. There's no way to search through this. The only way you can find things is by clicking on it, see if it's what you want. And if it's not, you close these little windows and you go to something else. But I just happen to know where this is at because I've been there before. So lubrication, filter, engine oil, removal. So this is for the DJ model, which is our 2500. D2 is for the 3500, which as I mentioned, it's not shown up here, but it is included in the manual. So let's see what kind of information they give us on the DJ oil filter removal, which is our 2500. Okay, so it looks like it's very extensive. Clean the area around the oil filter head. Remove the oil filter from below using a cap style filter wrench. Clean the gasket surface. The oil filter canister O-ring seal can stick On the filter head, make sure it's removed. Well, that was really something. They didn't say anything about going through the fender well. They didn't say anything about removing anything from the top. So that's a little disappointing for me. I don't know what you think about it. Let's see what they say about installation. Installation. Fill the canister with oil, with clean oil. With this clean oil before installing. Use the same type of oil that that will be used. I can't read. That will be used in the engine, of course. What a stupid thing. Oh, well, maybe not. Some people might pour Lucas super duper oil or Marble Mystery oil. I've heard of all kind of crazy ideas doing that, but no, you don't want to put any additives in your oil. Apply a light film of lubricant on the O-ring. Yeah. Mechanically over tighten. You don't want to do that. By the way, the actual torque, and I read it in the specs, is 8 foot-pounds or 97 inch-pounds if you're using a torque wrench, which to us is 3/4 of a turn, as it says here. I don't think anybody's ever had any problem putting on a oil filter too loose or anything, or too tight. It's pretty kind of one of those things you get the feel for after a few times, and you got it. So now here's what's interesting. I mean, this is so lacking, as you can see, and this whole manual for me is a big disappointment. You certainly wouldn't want to try to work off of this manual. But what's really disappointing is, for example, the lack of information here on the oil change. Now let's look at the D2. This is where it really gets ridiculous, in my personal opinion. Okay, so the D2, and I believe what they've done here on this update, you know, they put these things out every year. 2000, oh God, I don't know when they started, years ago. But this is the 2014. Well, I believe what they're really talking about here is a 2013 dual axle 3500. And it also applies to a 2014 3500. The one that we just looked at, which had no information about how to get it out the top or the wheel well, was probably the 2013. So I don't think this manual was really updated since 2014. Some of it might be, but not all of it. Personal opinion. But let's look at this D2, which is actually closer to our 2500 2014s on up, but it is totally ridiculous as to how they go about changing the oil filter here. So if you notice, you loosen the clamps, and I'm not going to read everything, you can kind of go through it with me, but you loosen the clamps on the top of the air cleaner, these bolts here. Okay, first of all, that's not necessary. All you got to do is loosen this one clamp here and then pull it off, and then pull it off down to your turbocharger. That's what most guys do. But here's what Chrysler has us doing. You raise the vehicle, you remove the tire and the wheel, you remove the wheel well, you disconnect the charge air cooler outlet tube from the turbocharger, and then you use a suitable wrench and you loosen the oil filter from the side of the wheel housing. Well, if anybody has ever seen any of my videos on oil change, you know that is absolutely not necessary. Partially lower the vehicle. Remove the oil filter from the top of the engine. So all of that, removing the wheel, going through all of that mess, And now we're going to pull the oil filter from the top. Unbelievable. Clean the gasket, blah, 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 blah. So you can see why a lot of people are kind of disgusted with this manual, including me. Other things that I was interested in, like valve timing, adjusting the valves. I've probably adjusted the valves on my 5.9 dozens of times. And you can see here, when you go into valve timing, and there's no way to search this, so we don't know. Maybe there's some other place where they speak of valve timing on this thing. I don't know. But it says valve timing. Maybe there's valve lash adjustment somewhere, and I'm just missing it. But this valve timing here, as you can see, they define top dead center. They have you pulling an injector. Then they have you taking like a dowel pin, like you just a wooden dowel pin, or I don't know, guess you could use a screwdriver if you wanted to, but something to tell when the piston is coming up to top dead center. And they actually have you pulling the injector for that. Well, we know that's not necessary. You don't have to pull an injector to find out if it's at top dead center. All you got to do is look at your valves. As it's coming up on top dead center, all your valves are going to be in the closed position. You'll be able to grab the top of your rocker arm, and you can wiggle it, and you'll feel slack in that rocker arm. Your feeler gauge will go under each one of those things when you're at top dead center. But to verify it, you look at your mark on your harmonic balancer down there, and that will verify that you are exactly at top dead center. So all of this business about taking out the injector and putting a stick in the thing, that seems ridiculous to me. So these are some of the things you're going to run into with this service manual that I just don't agree with. Whether or not it's worth it, well, you make the decision. There is some interesting things. There's no electrical in here. Very little. That's another manual. This is about $150 CD. Would I do it again? Well, let's put it this way. It was a very big disappointment. I don't think this is a manual that you'd use to work off of. Does it have some good information? Yeah, it's got some torques. Some of them are very hard to find. But as I mentioned, it does have the filter torque, which I really never knew that 8 foot-pounds was the proper torque on this thing. And I'll probably never use that information, but it's there. Also the information on the specifications. Some of it's interesting, some of it's worthless. See, you have D2 3500 information in this manual, although it's not advertised, so to speak, up here in the model number. I looked very hard for the valve lash settings, and I believe they're in here. In fact, I believe that's them right here. Valve stem diameter, that's obviously not it. Something we probably not going to worry about unless you want to tear down the engine. Valve margin, I believe this is what they're calling the valve lash, which is 0.031 on the intake, and on the exhaust 0.031. That's what it looks like to me. Whoever put this manual together, use some kind of odd terms because I've never heard the term valve margin used before. So, but there is some stuff in here that might be useful from time to time. Your adjusting nut for your valves, the torque is in there. I think it's 25 foot-pounds. It's somewhere in here. And so most of this stuff though is not something you and I would use every day, I don't think. Oil, another probably interesting one. Oil engine, oil level, oil engine, oil service. Change the engine oil and filter at intervals specified in the owner's manual. And then they kind of describe some things about install a new filter, install the drain plug, what kind of oil to use. So that's slightly useful, and then if you click on these, it brings you to things like we just looked at, which is pretty much kind of everyone knows that. So without boring you anymore on this video, would I buy this CD again? I don't know. It's all we have. If there's something else available out there that's got more information, I would definitely look for it. In the past, manuals that I've gotten on other vehicles were very complete, thorough, ready for a mechanic to use. This is obviously not something that a mechanic's going to use to take apart his, some of the equipment on his truck. So you can use your own judgment whether you see $150 worth of information here. As I said, I don't know. It's tough because there's nothing else, and from time to time I dig through here. I don't find what I want most of the time. The emissions, how the DPF works, and how the DEF. Some of the questions that we've all had on the forums and stuff is just not there. There's some brief explanations of things, but it's missing a lot. So the fuel system, there was one thing that I thought was kind of interesting, and that's how you get water out of your tank. You can actually pump your tank out with the low pressure pump that primes your same pump that primes and feeds your fuel filters. So I guess you could say that's kind of cool. But anyway, it is a manual. It does have some information. It's just not as much as I think most of us would like. I think Tech Authority could probably do a better job with this. You have a 2015, a 2016, and although I haven't seen them, I would probably bet that you're looking at just about the same thing. And there's probably some stuff that is identical. In fact, most of it's identical. Anyway, this was a good rainy day project. I hope you get an idea of what this manual is like, so that if you do decide to buy one and you do decide to use it to change your oil, I think you're probably wasting your time, because they've got so much useless stuff in here when it comes to changing the oil. Watch my video. Right. So, until next time, thanks for watching, and adios.